Hi, today I'll be upgrading and repairing this DC motor. So as you can see here, the motor is completely dead now. The armature winding is gone and the brushes are completely dead. So today I'll be upgrading this with the picker coil and I'll be also making the brushes. So to make the brushes, I'll be using this copper wire. I'll be using this beaten up copper. I have made it flat with a hammer using a hammer. So I can bend it and use it as a brush. So let's get started. Okay, now let's start by making the brushes. So to make the brushes, I'll have to take out this small pot right here and I will bend the copper wire in a way so that can go into these tiny grooves right here. So I'll make it. You can see here I have cut in the piece of the flattened wire. So now what I have to do is I have to bend it in a way that it can go into this grooves. See here, I have put in the copper into this groove right here. So I'll have to do this to the other side also. Now I have also made the other side. Now it's time to wind the commutator. So sorry, I mean the rotor. And now I have taken off the insulation of this copper right here. So now let's start winding it. Okay, now what I have to do is I have to take this copper wire and put it in the start on one of these tiny little things right here. So what I have to do is I'll take the copper wire and wind it around this like this. You can also use soldering, but I think this way is much easier to do. And now I have wounded the coil around this, so the copper coil won't just jump around like that. Okay, now let's start winding it. I have to wind approximately 71 turns of copper wire on all sides. So now I'll start winding it. Okay, so let's start winding it. So watch now. 1, 2, 10. I'll not show you the full winding process. So and now I have wound at one side of the coil, as you can see right here. I have wound it 72 turns. So now what I have to do here is I have to take the copper coil over right here, and I have to place it on the tab like this. And before that, I have to take the insulation off of this. So now So now what I have to do is you have to take the insulation of the copper wire right here where the copper wire will lap over this spot right here. So now I'll use a knife and then I will just take the insulation off right here. You have to take the insulation off completely. And now what I have to do is I have taken the insulation off of it. Now I have to wind it around this tab right here, and I have to again wind it in here 72 soon, and make sure the winding is even and tight, so the copper wire just don't jiggle and then short everything. And now I have completed the winding on the 3 sides. Now what I have to do is, for the last part, I have to take this last piece of copper wire and put it around the first tab that we wound on right here. And that's it. And now that the commutator is done, what I like to do is, you can see that the winding is a little uneven, so what you have to do is you can take the cutting wire like this and then just gently press them so they are all even. Just put in the inside the grooves I think, and then just push in. You can also use a knife, push it even further, and remember, don't push too hard. If you push too hard, the insulation might break and the motor might not work. And for the copper wire, I have took the secondary of the transformer. So secondary is usually pretty thin, so I'm using that for the winding. Now that it's done. And for the brushes, there is some extras copper area. Now what you have to do is just cut them if you have too much. I'll just cut it along here. Now and do this to the other side also. Sorry. And the brushes are now ready. Now what I have to do is the exposed brushes right here will have to be facing inside this side of the pot, and just push it in, and that's it. Now the brush is done. And make sure that you don't put the brushes like this. If you put them like this, these are exposed and they will just fall out of the casing, or they will short this part and it will not be good. So make sure that the brushes are faced this way, okay. And that's it. Now let's just put the rotor inside and make sure it's just seated right. And now it's done. Okay, now let's test it. And make sure to cross the retaining tabs and make sure to cross the retaining tabs right here that is holding the motor. You just have to push it in. But in my motor the other retaining tab is broken, but if your motor has a retaining tab, just push it in. So the motor is perfectly locked. Okay, now let's test it. Now I have taken two lithium 3.7 lithium ion batteries. So now let's power it. And I have also taken the factory wound rotor, which you can see right here. And now let's take the compare, and now see the compare between that rotor and this rotor. This is the rotor that I wound, and this is the rotor that was factory made. They might look similar, and you might assume that they have no differences, but the copper wire in this rotor is a little extra thick. So that's it. Now let's power it. I'm gonna power it in 3, 2, 1. This is the factory wound. This rotor is a factory wound rotor. Now let's use my rotor and see the difference. Now it's time to power my upgraded version of the DC motor. So let's see. Okay, let's powering the upgraded version in 3, 2, 1. Why it's not working? Wait a second. Guys, unfortunately the motor is not working for some reason. I'll try again. I'll upload this as a short. I think the brushes are brushing against the commutators a little too tight, I guess. See you in the next video. I'll try making this work. Hopefully it works. Okay, bye.